Good evening, dear friends, dear Thai, dear Chanwi, dear community. Welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to be here with you for our Joyfully Together Sutra study and practice for October. My name, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Patricia Redshaw. I have a nickname of Red, and I'm bowing in from Western Pennsylvania. So in our studies this year, we're looking at the Anapanasati Sutra, which is also known as the Sutra on the Full Awareness of Breathing. And last month we heard about the first two verses of the sutra, bringing our awareness to our breath. And this evening we're looking at the second two verses, the third and fourth verses on experiencing and calming our body. So we're going to begin with a guided meditation on that theme. And in case there may be some friends with us this evening who have not practiced a guided meditation before, I just wanted to say a few words about this practice. Guided meditations are a practice in which we're invited to direct our mindful attention to various aspects of our experience. So our breath, or our body, or our feelings. So we might hear something like breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in, and then breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. So there's a sentence for the in-breath, a little verse for the in-breath, and then a verse for the out-breath. And that is followed by a couple of key words to help us focus on those sentences that are offered. So something would follow like just in for the in-breath and out for the out-breath. And our practice during the meditation is to make these sentences come alive inside of us, inside of our body, to make them real. So we don't simply recite the words, but we use them as a guide to bring them to life inside of our body. So you might notice that many of our traditions guided meditations are based on this sutra that we're studying. So we'll practice one this evening and probably many more in the months to come. So at the moment, I invite you to find a position, a sitting position that allows you to settle into your body, to really arrive in your body. A posture that allows you to sit beautifully in an upright position. Very stable yet relaxed. And once you have found that position, I invite you to bring your awareness down to your sitting bones. Bring all of your attention down to the two sitting bones at the base of your body. And just feel them settling into your seat. You might feel the weight of your body in the back of your legs, as well as your sitting bones. If you're sitting in a chair, you may feel your feet in contact with the floor. So no matter what position you're in, become aware of all the places where your legs and feet are in contact with the chair or the floor, whatever surface you're sitting on. Just settling into your seat. And then as you maintain that awareness of settling into the base of your body, gently lift your spine upward. Lift the chest gently to help straighten the back. Allow the shoulders to relax. Tuck the chin in slightly, opening the back of the neck. And gently lift the top of the head upward. Soften the face, your forehead, and your temples, and your jaw. And allow the arms and the hands to completely relax. And bring your awareness into the body and begin to feel your body breathing. Aware of your in-breath as you breathe in. Aware of your out-breath as you breathe out. Allow your attention to rest on the in-breath and the out-breath as we listen to 3 sounds of the bell. Listen, listen. This wonderful sound brings me back to my true home. Breathing in, I know that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I am breathing out. Fully aware that I am breathing in. Fully aware that I am breathing out. In, out. Breathing in, I'm aware of the length of my in-breath, whether it is long or short or any length in between. Breathing out, I'm aware of the length of my out-breath, whether it is long or short or somewhere in between. Allowing my breath to be just as it is without judging or fixing. Experiencing the length of my in-breath. Experiencing the length of my out-breath. As I breathe in, I become aware of my whole body, aware of the breath entering and moving through my throat and chest, my abdomen and rib cage gently expanding, my shoulders rising slightly. As I breathe out, I become aware of my whole body, aware of the breath gradually moving through my body, my abdomen falling, my body softening. Aware of my whole body as I breathe in. Aware of my whole body as I breathe out. Breathing in, I'm aware of my whole body from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. Aware of my skin, my muscles, and my bones. Aware of the tissues and organs and fluids moving through my body. Breathing out, I smile to my body with love and acceptance. I accept my body just as it is, experiencing my whole body, smiling and accepting. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I allow my body to feel ease, calm, ease. Breathing in, I know that my body is a miracle, allowing me to experience the wonders of life in me and around me. Breathing out, I smile to life. Body a miracle, smiling to life. Let's share a bow with each other. So thank you, friends, for your beautiful practice. And please make yourselves comfortable and continue to be with your breath as we prepare to listen deeply to two wonderful speakers we have this evening who will be sharing with us their reflections on our theme of embracing and calming the body. And these are two very dear friends from my Sangha in Pittsburgh, the Laughing Rivers Sangha. So our first speaker this evening is going to be our sister Deborah Brooks. And Deborah enjoyed her first retreat in the Plum Village tradition with Brother Chan Wee in 2001, when she received the lineage name Radiant Refuge of the Source. She has been practicing with Laughing Rivers since that time, organizing retreats and days of mindfulness, mentoring aspirants, and building Sangha with her sisters and brothers in the practice. She was ordained into the Order of Interbeing in 2004 at Green Mountain Dharma Center with Sister Annabelle Laity, and given the Dharma name True Realization of the Essence. Deborah's practice is enriched by a deep connection to nature, music, body-centered practices, and the love and support of her Sangha. In March 2025, Deborah received the LAMP transmission to become a Dharma teacher in our Plum Village tradition. And our second speaker is George Hoguet. And George first heard Thai's voice of compassion unknowingly in 1975 while singing Alone Again, a musical adaptation of Thai's poem, Recommendation. Almost 30 years later, he attended his first retreat, receiving the 5 mindfulness trainings with the lineage name Compassionate Renewal of the Source. After a few years in Vermont, where he started a small Sangha, he returned to Pennsylvania and joined Laughing Rivers in 2010. George was ordained into the Order of Interbeing at Blue Cliff in 2013 with the Dharma name True Precious Smile. He became a founding member of the Earth Holder Sangha in 2015 and has nourished his practice while supporting communication needs, Sangha building, mentoring, and interfaith efforts with Laughing River Sangha. In March 2025, George received the lamp transmission to become a Dharma teacher in the Plum Village tradition. And I will add that George has had a rough couple of weeks because his home's been in a bit of disarray, so we're very lucky to have him here this evening.
Dear Thai, dear teachers, dear Sangha, this is Deborah bowing in. And I really wanted to start this talk, this little reflection by just bowing to all of you and acknowledging the power of your presence. And I want to thank you for your practice. So I'm a new Dharma teacher and somewhat new at sharing, and I've thought about it deeply, and what I can see is that my talking and your listening are two sides of the same coin. So I'm very grateful to be here with all of you tonight. And I thought that we could start by just all of us together collectively having gone through that beautiful guided meditation. Thank you, Red. Let's just take a breath and breathe in and let it out on a sigh. You can even make some noise. And let's do that again. So as we breathe in, we notice the quality of our breathing, and then we sigh. We let it go. And I feel, from my own experience, that's the rhythm of the Anapanasati. We breathe in, we come into the present moment with our awareness. We allow our awareness to encompass and hold something. We see it, we feel it just as it is. And then we release, we let it go, we relax, we gladden, we heal. So we're moving into the sutra, and after last month when we focused on the breath and the quality of the breath, we are invited to focus on our bodies and our relationship with our bodies. And honestly, this is one of the things that first drew me to Thai as my teacher, because I knew, as a young person, that my relationship with my body needed to be healed. And I wasn't hearing a lot about that from other spiritual teachers. So just a little bit about my own story. I really lived a lot of my childhood and my young adulthood out of touch with my body and in my head. And with very predictable results. I was accident prone. I was always hurting myself. I was awkward. And I used to get into, especially as a teenager, I would get into dangerous situations because I was so out of touch with my body. My body was talking to me. I can see that now, but I hadn't learned to listen. And what changed for me as a young adult was I got that on some level, and I started doing some practices that pulled me more into relationship with my body. I started to do Tai Chi. I started to hike in the woods, move my body in nature. And actually I took up rock climbing. And boy, if you're not in touch with your body when you're climbing a mountain, you're in trouble. So all of these practices started to change things for me. And, in general, I just think that right away, when we can drop down into an awareness of our body, we're putting some distance between ourselves and our thoughts. Awareness of the body is a door out of the world of radio NST, what Thai calls radio NST, which is nonstop thinking. And, of course, our thinking is how we tend to understand ourselves and our world, but our thoughts are often not accurate and they're often not helpful. Our thoughts have a tendency to think that they're the whole show, but actually, when we live in a world of only thought, we miss so much. So, this sutra and this invitation to be in touch with our bodies, it's very revolutionary and it's very powerful. Thai says that our body is a wonder. And by bringing our loving awareness to our bodies, we get in touch with that wonder. So right away, that's a kind of healing. And we need to be really aware, and this is not going to be a surprise to any of you, that our culture has brought us really far from that, from being in touch with our bodies. Our culture, our society is based in thoughts and ideas, our own ideas, the ideas of other people, our judgments about our ideas or the ideas of other people. And it really requires practice and discipline to be embodied in this culture. And we need to start by practicing enjoying our bodies, moving in nature, tuning into what nourishes us, healing, connecting with ourselves. When we do this, we can feel the value of it. So my husband and I spend a fair amount of time in a small town called Confluence, Pennsylvania, and it's just a valley, beautiful valley with rivers running through it, and we love it there. And a couple days ago, I saw a couple of young boys riding their bikes in the street. And it was actually an unusual sight. I mean, for me, as a kid, I would ride my bike all the time, and everyone I knew rode their bike. But I haven't seen a lot of children riding bikes. And there was such joy on their faces. And it made me think about how many kids these days are growing up in a virtual world. They socialize online, they live on the internet, on social media, and they're suffering for it. There are a lot of mental health issues among younger people in this generation. And they don't know it, but they need help. And if we ourselves are not embodied, if we're not experiencing the joy and the sacredness of our bodies, we don't have anything to offer them. So, one insight that I recently had through this contemplation that I wanted to share with you is that my heart is a real place. It's a place in my body. And I remember when I really got in touch with this, a teacher that I love and respect very much talked about how she had been through an experience of her heart as if it was a block of ice. And that really resonated with me because I could feel the truth of that in my own body. Not that I was heartless, but I could feel this sort of armoring and self-protectiveness actually physically in my body. And I have been learning to breathe into that. And it's a worthwhile practice to really tune into your heart. What is going on in that area of your body? Is it soft and open? Whatever we were not able to understand or process in our lives is still alive in our bodies. And for a lot of us, that's fear. We have the seeds in us of a scared child, seeds in our consciousness. And it does show up in our bodies and our posture. So the tendency, and I have done this a lot, is to zone out, to avoid having to physically feel that fear, but it just makes it worse. Because if no one's home and no one's looking after our bodies, we're not home, that's frightening. But something interesting, and I was reading over my notes for tonight, and I read scared child, but my brain scrambled it into sacred child. And I thought that's so apt because the child in us may be scared, but it's also sacred and can be beloved. We can transform the scared child inside of us to a sacred, a beloved child. Our bodies are always talking to us, but we need to be here. We need to be present in order to hear. And, this kind of awareness can be challenging because when we start looking, we see what's there. And sometimes, there's a reason that we've blocked out an awareness. Our bodies may be holding pain of some sort. So for some people, this shows up as like a refusal to acknowledge pain or illness. And sometimes pain or illness has to get very loud to get our attention. A lot of people don't like to go to the doctor. I've noticed for myself, when I get sick, I'm shocked. Like, oh, I'm tired. And I have this idea that I should be pushing through it and that there's something wrong. I'm sick. I need to rest. Oh, thank you, Red. So, a couple of other things that I want to mention. I have a tendency, and I know I'm not alone in this, to judge my body. I've seen it the way my culture might see my body. We have to look a certain way. We have to move in a certain way. And when I judge myself, I can see that I'm shutting down sensation and self-expression. I'm shutting down life and joy. My body registers that I have a judgment about it. So if that is true of you, I want to encourage you to not do that, pull back from doing that, and understand that it's okay to be beautiful just the way you are. And it's okay to express grace and beauty in the way that you move. So just a couple things that I want to say, because sometimes I'll have a lot of ideas and I express my ideas and then I think, yeah, but how? Like how do we get there? And just the few things that I want to say about it is, again, if you find yourself judging your body, don't do it. Your body is a beloved child. Think of your body that way and treat it with love and respect. Rest when you're tired or you're sick. Eat when you're hungry. Be conscious about that kind of care. And practices like yoga and Tai Chi can be so valuable just to pull us out of our heads and back into our bodies. Move your body in nature. And a practice I've been using lately, I take snapshots of myself. And I don't mean like with a physical camera, but just like I'll be doing something like making my coffee and all of a sudden it'll be like, what's going on? What's going on in my body? And I'll realize like, oh, my shoulder's up. Like my shoulder doesn't have to be up, or I'm breathing quickly. I'm not in a relaxed state. So just little snapshots of yourself through the day. What's going on with your body? So I'd like to close these reflections with a return to the breath that we started with. And I want to invite you to just cultivate your love and your mindfulness by doing what the sutra invites us to do. Allow your attention and love to rest on your body. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your practice and listening. And bowing out.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. So many people here tonight. It's wonderful, and particularly want to welcome those of you that have not been with us before, and a special welcome also to our root Dharma teacher from who's visiting us live from Saigon right now, where he lives, and so wonderful to have you with us, Chun Wei. We are speaking about in this year, the path of emancipation, especially for those of you that are new. And in the preface of that book, the publisher speaks about the 1998 21-day retreat in Vermont with Thich Nhat Hanh, which focused on this particular sutra and this discourse on the full awareness of breathing. The publisher was there and notes that as a result of listening to Thay's teachings and practicing together, and I quote, the attendees were powerfully transported from their daily concerns to a place of deep peace. And that possibility is what is available to us if we can go deeply together into this teaching over the next number of months. So I really invite you to consider that. The discourse we're studying is known as as you've heard of the Anapanasati Sutta in Pali, from the canon of the Theravada school of Buddhism, which is known also as the school of the elders. And I think Thay was Thich Nhat Hanh, whom we call Thay, was very astute in putting together the Plum Village tradition, which is rooted in the Mahayana school, but he saw the wonderful teachings in these other traditions and helped also bring in insight meditation. So the Anapanasati Sutra lists 16 steps and exercises to relax and compose the mind and body, as both Red and Deborah have been talking about. And speaking of body, those of you who have seen me in the flesh and know me personally probably think that I might often wear a shirt called Body by Ben & Jerry's. I'm not a runner athletically, but I am a runner, and I'm running from this action to the next action, engaged in many groups, working for the Sangha, taking care of the needs of my family, which is pretty large, working with my neighbors and friends, and I've come to the conclusion I'm just not taking compassionate care of my body the way I want to. So, this is perfect for this evening. Our focus is embracing and calming the body, and I'm asking, what am I doing here as a speaker? What I'm doing here is learning. Providence maybe had a hand in me saying, I'll take this talk, and probably because, it's generally true. We teach that which we most need to learn. And in going through this book already, I'm learning a lot. I've been practicing for more than 20 years with a Plum Village tradition, but I think I'm really starting to hear and see the power of the teaching in this sutra. And Brother Chan Wei, who I just mentioned, our root teacher in Saigon, he would tell us all the time that the discourse on the full awareness of breathing is the foundational sutra. And if he was kind of physically here, he'd probably reach over and hit me with a stick, like, it's about time you're getting this, George. He's a Zen teacher after all. So these breathing practices are tools for building our path, for finding our way. And I'm beginning to think of them like a sickle, that we use to help clear the path to emancipation through this dense jungle of modern life. And that sickle action itself, that effort of movement and clearing, heals the body and brings vitality. Our practice leads us on this journey to the other shore, but as Thay has also taught us, the benefits of practicing are right here in the very beginning, even with just one mindful breath, one mindful step. These mindful breathing exercises help lead us to the practice of mindful movements of our bodies, which Deborah was just talking about, the mindful movements when we're sitting, walking, eating, speaking, listening, and sleeping. So I'm beginning to learn as if I'm looking through beginner's eyes, beginner's practice. I'm helping to rebuild my foundation upon which all my future realizations will build. If a practitioner deeply engages in these exercises for breathing, they will help that person fulfill and realize the Satipatthana Sutra, which is one of the other sutras in our 4-year study program. This Satipatthana Sutra is also known as the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feelings, of mental formations, and consciousness. And when those 4 foundations are cultivated and fully developed, they help empower the practitioner to experience and begin to live with some mastery, if you will, the 7 factors of enlightenment, which include mindfulness, investigation, which is looking deeply, energy and vitality for diligence, joy, a lot of what Deborah just spoke about, living joyfully, tranquility and ease, concentration, also calmness, and finally, equanimity, that ability to accept reality as it is and letting go. And so when those 7 factors are developed and cultivated, they fulfill what's called the true knowledge and deliverance. The insight that leads us delivers us to the other shore, the shore of no coming and no going, no fear, the shore of freedom, emancipation. So I'm very excited about the foundational concept of the path of emancipation in our study this year, because it leads to all those other developments. Part of our theme this month is also exploring how the body and the mind are united. And in our book, Thay speaks about nama rupa, combining 2 Sanskrit words, nama meaning mental aspect and rupa, physical body. And these teachings also come from the Theravada school. In Theravada, nama refers to feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness, the mind, if you will. And rupa, about form and appearance or physical body. So together, nama and rupa are recognized as the interdependent aspects or qualities of our being. And in our being, our mind and our body are. They cannot be separate. we can often act, and I know that I do, as if my mind and body are separate, acting as if I can keep running on all these actions and intellectual things I want to do without stopping to care for my body. And or I can run with my body and push my body as if doing so will not affect my thoughts, such a stress. So our way of being really is the resulting presence of what in words might appear to be separate, body and mind, but which cannot, in fact, exist independently. We can't have the mind without the body. We can't have the body without the mind. So Buddhism actually established this word, namarupa, to recognize this interwoven tapestry of body and mind, the spirit of our being. And in Hinduism, we hear this somewhat, the greeting namaste, when we bow, which means I am perceiving mentally the state of the being, aste, in the other person. I bow to the spirit within you, spirit within your body. And so we just actually heard this in the wonderful meditation that we were led through in exercises 5 and 6 in the sutra. The breathing is, we're breathing in awareness of joy and of our happiness, respectively. And some folks might associate joy and happiness with the mind, like intellectual feelings. But if you recall moments of experiencing joy and happiness, you know when your whole body was filled with the joy or the happiness. We become the joy, we become the happiness, and the distinction between thinking about it and feeling about it disappears. The subject and the object become one, and we are fully present in the moment. So I'm admitting here that I'm beginning anew. I am focusing back on these 16 exercises. I'm using my mobile Plum Village app to listen to deep relaxations, focusing on the 36 parts of the body, being especially mindful and grateful to my heart, which has been supporting me for 77 years. I sometimes visualize that TV ad, which has the man sitting on the couch. I don't know if you've seen it at his doctor's office. And there's this little like cartoon image of his heart next to him, looking up with some sad eyes, which is kind of the way it was happening with me. I'm also focusing on single tasking, not multitasking. And decided to, and I'm committed to, not taking my phone into the bathroom any longer. A celebration. You may have seen these towers that you can put in the bathroom that can hold 3 rolls of extra toilet paper, and then there's like an arm that comes up for the 4th roll. But now they have a shelf on top of that. And I realized it's the size of a cell phone. So you have someplace to put your cell phone when nature tells you have to stop using it. So I've decided not to buy one of those. Also walking much more mindfully, especially even doing chores as I go to the post office, to the store. Eating much more mindfully, choosing foods that help me lose weight, that give me honest energy, not just sugar and caffeine, and help me feel refreshed. And making a conscious effort to meditate on the 5 contemplations or gratitude for the food, even when I'm in restaurants. And the wait staff sometimes gets nervous when I'm sitting with my head down looking at it and with my hands surrounding it. So they'll say, "Is there something wrong, sir?" No, I'm just praying. So I've enjoyed that as well. And in short, I'm becoming more conscious and caring for my body compassionately as my true home, which has been with me all along through all of this. And compassion starts at home in the body. So these breathing exercises help us also build our compassion for others by starting with ourselves. Now I have a 3 feet, I'm looking over, I have a vertical stacked bookshelf where they're laying on their sides, and I have 3 or 4 feet of Thay's books. But I've never had the Path of Emancipation. And it's quickly becoming one of my favorites. So I've noticed that even hearing and singing our familiar Sangha song has much more depth and reverence to me. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. I am blooming as a flower. I am fresh as the dew. I am solid as a mountain. I am firm as the earth. I am free. This is the path of emancipation. And I'm so happy that we have found it together. In the few minutes that I have remaining, I haven't heard Red's bell yet, but there it is. Thank you. I'd like to speak a little bit about Sangha. So, Sangha energy is very critical to help us move along this path of emancipation. You know, we can use our individual practice to brighten the realm of consciousness that we want, but we also learn that happiness is not an individual matter, and that the insight and wisdom we share with each other pulls us forward. Ty mentions that in this book several times, including in chapter 5 about experiencing our body, when he speaks about the powerful energy of 100 to 200 practitioners touching the earth together in silent walking meditation. And if you have had that experience, you know how moving that is. Together we create a deeper, more refreshing consciousness which helps us individually stay on this track of living fully in each moment. In our Sangha here in Pittsburgh, we have many opportunities to become part of the Sangha, many sittings, we have retreats and days of mindfulness. And about 2 years ago, we started something called the Morning Sitting Group via Zoom. We call ourselves the Breakfast Buddhas. And I share this because it's been an amazing experience to me, the amount of wisdom that we have in our Sangha. So we started it with about 5 people. Today we were 11, and often we are 15 or 16 people. And we started it on Monday through Friday. I said I could offer that, but now we've been 7 days a week for the last year. And in this morning sitting, Claire, who I saw is with us tonight, she led us and first shared a short reading from Thai about going back to the island of self, back to our true home. And as we sat with that, she also had a picture of a image of a person sitting on an island. But when she shared that, and as I was sitting in meditation, I was recalling the first 3 exercises of the Anapanasati Sutra. And I particularly became aware of my whole body. Red was sharing that with us. And as I breathed in, I saw my body as my true home. It's been with me this whole time. And from our Dharma sharing, that we have Dharma sharing from about 7:45 to 8. So we meet for 45 minutes. In the last 15 minutes, we have Dharma sharing. And it was truly rich today. And I particularly wanted to say thank you to Alan, who I see was also on here with us. What you shared was very helpful. Helped me even with my talk. So thank you, Alan. And I want to close by inviting all of you to stick around for the Dharma sharing as we go into that in the next session. There's so much wisdom that is there for us and that we ourselves bring. You have it with you. So thank you for this opportunity to share with you.